Hey there, adventurers, and welcome back to another episode of the Awkward Dungeon Master. This week I am joined by my husband, Joe.
Hello.
And we are going to talk to you guys about creating magical items for your campaign. So you brought that up during the last episode,
Yes.
Creating magical items. Let's get into that a little
So
bit.
part of it is because it's not something I've ever done running pre-builts. So I kind of wanted to find out how you do it.
I mean, I feel like you've created stuff before. You've asked me about things.
I've asked
Balancing.
you. Yeah. There's been a few, but it's...
No, it was that ability for Ben, the one you did. He said he wanted that ability to be able to have negative
Oh, yeah.
effects.
That
I can't remember
was...
exactly what it was.
That's part of the Alchemist. It's... Every day they can create some sort of chemical and they roll, I think it's a D8. And depending on what they roll, they get some sort of effect. But he was like, shouldn't there be a chance for it to mess up? So what I did was I just expanded the chart. It might have been a 6 and I went to an 8, or it was an 8 and I went to a D10. And if he rolls one of the, like a 9, he gets to roll twice and he gets 2 effects out of it. But if he rolls a 10, it blows up in his face and he takes a little bit of damage.
Right. Well, and I think that's not that different from creating magical items. Because honestly, the first thing I always look at when I'm homebrewing abilities or magical items is balance in relation to your character's level.
Right.
So usually what I'll do is I'll think of kind of what I want the item to do. So you guys have that Nautilus shell that you can go into.
Yes.
And I wanted it to be sort of like Liamon's tiny hut, but sort of an extra dimensional space, but not really.
Right.
But that's also super powerful for you guys. I think I gave it to you at like level 3. Does that sound about right?
3 or 4, somewhere in there.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly, but somewhere.
But at that point, isn't Liamon's tiny hut, that's a 3rd level spell, I believe?
I'm not sure. I've never been a spellcaster that has it.
I have it in our Friday game. I'm pretty sure it's...
I can look it up.
You go for it. I could too. It's in my pocket.
Liamon's Tiny Hut, level 3. Evocation spell.
I get bonus points for that, right? 3rd level.
One of these days I'll play a normal spellcaster. I just haven't.
So I wanted it to be kind of like that, but it seemed a little bit too high-powered for level 3 or 4 characters because you don't have access to level 3 spells yet.
Right.
I wanted that to be something for you guys to utilize. It also kind of gives you... So this is going to sound really fucked up. I promise I'm not a killer DM. Like, you can vouch for that, right?
Yeah.
I'm not out to kill you guys. I do like to put you in situations that threaten death.
So you have no problem killing us if we do something dumb.
Exactly.
Which is, I think, what a DM should do. But you're not just out to kill. Otherwise, we would have been dead a long time ago.
It's true. It is very true. With that, I wanted the hut to give you guys almost a sense of false security.
Right.
With that whole, well, we can go hide in here and no one can tell that we're in this shell. But the problem is the shell takes on the weight of you guys too. So it also keeps you from just using it like a bag of holding and hoarding a bunch of shit.
Right. Or, like, I know we've done it a few times being a strong barbarian and everything. I can have a couple people in there and still carry it, but we can't just be like, oh, the whole party goes in there and then I just have to sneak into somewhere.
Right. And I mean, you have to be strong enough to carry the whole party.
Right.
Which you can carry a couple people, and you guys have kind of done that a couple times. And that's some ingenuity, and I allow it because it's creative and there's still risk involved.
That's how we got Cornelius out of the city.
Right.
But it was one person, which I could easily carry.
And it was like when you guys were going to recover the books, with people in the shell, you're effectively by yourself.
Yes.
Whenever you're moving. So if you're being tracked, the chances of you getting help before you get murdered are pretty low.
Right.
So you are choosing to forego having allies in your immediate vicinity for the stealth.
Yes.
So that's why I did that the way I did. I wanted you to have something that was utilitarian and really cool, but I didn't want it to be overpowered for your level.
Right. That's always my worry of... Yes. It's even my worry when I put in pre-built magical items, but if it's not already in the book, there's been a few times that, or like they're in a city and the player's like, I'm looking for this item, and I'm like, do I give it to them? Is it going to break the game? And that's always a debate I have in my head as a DM.
There's so much content out there. I always like to find something similar and kind of look at the level spell that it would be equivalent to or ability that it would be equivalent to from a class or like something similar.
Right.
And kind of equate that with where you guys are leveled at in the game to whether I know if that's going to be a game-breaking item or not. And likewise, if it's underpowered, you can beef it up a little bit.
Yeah. I know in our first campaign, I asked for an item that was a a homebrew, but it came from the Adventure Zone podcast.
Right. That was pretty cool, that shield.
The shield, but with how it was...
Heroic remembrance or something.
So it was when I killed something, their face would appear on the shield, and then next time I fought against that same type of creature, I got a +1 to attack. Now, it also had the whole thing where I could lie to it that I fought that thing, and if I rolled high enough, it would appear. Mm-hmm. I do know we changed it a little bit from the podcast one, because that one you can fail multiple times, and if you fail too many times, your whole shield erases. We made it where if I fail once, everything erases.
Right.
And it made it a lot bigger risk to... So it wasn't like every time we were going to go fight something, oh yeah, I fought this. Oh, well, it didn't work.
Well, and you did have one time where you lied to it and failed and you lost everything.
And I lost I don't think I ever tried after that to lie to it, because I started building up a pretty good collection of stuff we fought.
Right. But, I mean, I like it when the stakes are higher.
Yeah.
And I felt like that item was a little bit overpowered.
Yeah, it was a little broken.
Just because it gives you advantage on everything you've ever fought.
Right.
So, if you're likely to run into that type of creature again, which in that campaign you were,
right,
it was a huge advantage. So you have to be careful about that kind of stuff, too.
Then it also made me angry anytime someone else got the kill, because I want to get the face.
That was actually really funny for me to watch.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
I run in there, I'm the big fighter, and I hit, Action Surge, and I hit 6 times, and it gets down to 3 hit points, and, the cleric pushes it over, and I'm...
None for you.
No face for me.
You used to remind him, too. You're like, why couldn't you just let me kill it? It would have been on my shield.
Yeah.
It's beneficial for you in the future.
Yeah. Or, because I had my dex was really low, so I had low initiative all the time. And there would be that one spot where whoever's there, because you do flanking, whoever's there has advantage. And then someone else who can, attack once would run in there, and I'm like, I could hit a bunch of times. I'm the fighter.
He's so helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like that's a really common complaint at tables. You're in my way. Why don't you get out of the way?
Right.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, but it happens.
Because people want to hit things.
That's part of the reason I was a weapon hoarder. So I'm like, okay, well, then I pull out this magical bow I have. And I never have bags of holding. I have bags of hoarding.
It's true. Didn't we call it the bag? No, it was Jeanette's that we called the bag
She
of
was
hoarding.
the bag of hoarding. I have I had the haversack of hoarding.
She was always the one, she's like, wait. I have this thing from, session 3.
Right. And I'd always see you kind of start flipping through notes. So I was sure you're like, wait, what was that again?
Hold on, that campaign ran for 2-3 years?
About 2.
Yeah. Hold on, let me go back to 2 years prior to now. Yeah, it's here.
Yeah.
Also, it was poison. I talked about that a few episodes ago.
Yeah, the dust. That was good.
And the potion, the health potion.
Oh, the poison health potions. Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That was fun.
Also fun to throw things in front of your players that are magical and they register as something they're familiar with, but do other things.
That was the dust of...
Disappearance. That was actually dust of sneezing and choking. Yes.
Yeah, that
I was so mad. They were like, we identified it. And I said, please see the DMG on such and such page. It says, registers as dust of disappearance, even to identify.
I think potions of poison do the same thing. Or that look like... There's a certain potion that looks like a health potion.
I don't know. Those ones were from that old module that I modified.
Yeah.
And they were just spoiled.
Yeah.
They weren't actually, poison potions. So, a little more complicated.
So that's something I've done with magical items a few times. If I'm going to put in a custom, it's usually I'll find something in an older edition or Pathfinder or something like that, and then just modify it to fit instead of trying to come up with it by myself.
And then we're talking about building items. There was that shield of the eel that I gave you guys that no one can use, which is unfortunate. I figured someone would take it, but nobody wants it. You guys can sell it.
Yeah, always an option.
It is. But I think it did 3d6 lightning damage on a failed save and gave you +1 to armor. And
it did a lot. I was looking at it wishing I could fight with it, but it just doesn't fit with what I'm doing.
I don't think I still have that anymore. It would be in here. This is where I put all my magic items.
I don't know.
I gave you guys the card. I don't think I copied it.
You did, and I don't remember who, but someone has that card.
Nope, that's different. You don't have that yet. No, I'm not even going to tell you about that. It's so cool.
I'm excited.
Well, I came up with that particular thing, which I'm not going to tell you guys what it is because it's really badass. It's
Here,
fun later.
I'll plug my ears. Go ahead and talk about it.
Well, you also watched my channel.
I know.
Dipshit.
Pretty much.
That's going to stay in.
Yeah.
I'm a mean wife sometimes, but
I deserve it.
Glutton for punishment.
Yep.
Not awkward at all.
Hey, title of the channel.
Anyway, that item I got the idea from a podcast we did with Eric, who does the Metagamers Anonymous podcast. Welcome. Apparently there's been like 80 plugs for him because I mentioned it earlier in the last episode too. Yeah. But he did an episode where we talked about magical items. I can't remember if you were there for that one, but he talked about single-use magical items specifically.
I wasn't there. I don't think I was there for that one, but I remember listening to that one.
Yeah, it was a really good episode.
Yeah.
So that kind of inspired me to come up with some single-use magical items for my home game. And that one is I can tell you this, it's a 9th level spell. Ooh. Single-use item that wish. I'm gonna... Wish. It's not wish. Oh. That's gonna fuck up my life.
Yeah.
No. It's a different 9th level spell. It's gonna be very fun for them. But they're definitely gonna get it before they have access to 9th level spells.
Yeah.
I wanted to give them something like that would give them a lot of power over one situation. Giving you one moment to change the course of this entire campaign.
See, now I'm just running through all the 9th level spells. I'm like, what can it be? What can it be?
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I want to put something in your guys' hands at, like, somewhere between 7th and 10th level, maybe? Where it's way beyond your kin.
Right.
You're never gonna probably get to level 20. You might.
Yeah.
It's possible with this campaign. This might be a really long-running one. Depends kind of what way you guys go.
Yeah.
But I wanted to give you the opportunity one time to alter the course of fate.
Which I just did that with my players, and I actually gave them wish, but it was the ring of 3 wishes, but it already had 2 charges burnt because I was not giving them 3 wishes. Mm-hmm. That would have no.
I don't know if I'm gonna regret that or not because it's a really powerful thing to give your players. But it also is empowering for them. Meteor
storm, just so we can figure out how that works underwater.
No.
Because that would be funny.
As he slowly pinpoints what spell.
Right.
Because, 9th level spells.
There's not that many, through all of the classes.
There's really not. It's a good one.
It'll be true resurrection, but we still need to find the 25,000 diamonds.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Give me all money, bitches. So there was that. Single-use magic items. I thought that was a really cool takeaway from that podcast.
Because we haven't had too many single-use items in our game, other than potions, but those we go and buy. But I have found the little bit I've seen or played that with single, so many people don't use them. They're like, oh, we have this one thing, and once we use it, it's gone, so I will never put that into my own personal dragon's hoard and never touch it again.
Which, that happened in our last campaign. But this particular item, I feel very strongly that you guys are going to hold on to until it matters.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Unless I can get a hold of it, then I'll burn it on the first thing I can. Because why not?
Please don't.
No.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm proud of it. We'll get there eventually.
My guy's naive. He's not dumb.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those kind of things where this particular item, you could choose to burn it really early on and regret it later. Like one of those things you go, shit, if only we had not
if we still had that, whatever it is.
If only.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why it's going to be fun.
We really could have went for that 9th level magic missile right now.
Yeah. So, any other questions or points on magical items?
That's it. The only other one is, how do you decide when it's time to put in more magical? Because I know our first campaign, we kind of got a lot of magic stuff really early, and it gave you a hard time running because we were overpowered.
So I've gone much more magic light on this campaign. Magic items can derail a campaign not really derail, but it can make it really hard for you as the Dungeon Master to balance encounters. What I mean by that is especially at lower levels, like where you guys are at right now, around 5th level, it's easy to give you too much magical stuff where monsters are not a challenge, but if I put monsters in that are a big enough challenge for the amount of damage you guys can do, they can auto-kill you.
Oh, yeah, didn't even think of that. So
yeah, so it's really important to not give you guys too much stuff.
If we all attack, we could kill a beholder, but if it gets one turn, we're done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. I had actually not thought of that.
So in reference to knowing when to give you guys more stuff, there's a chart about starting at higher levels in, I can't remember if it's the player's handbook or the DMG.
I'm pretty sure it's the DMG. I've seen the chart that you're talking about.
But it kind of talks about how much magical stuff you should have at what levels.
Okay.
Starting at higher level, page 38.
You beat me to it.
I did. I'm a book wizard. Mm-hmm. So on page 38 of the Dungeon Master's Guide, there is a chart that talks about what stuff you should have at what levels. But it's called starting at higher levels. But I always use that as kind of a basis for how much magical gear I give you guys.
Okay.
And I have gone lighter in this campaign, but we're also doing a lot more political stuff.
Yeah, this is a lot more intrigue, a lot less go, kill, come back, get loot.
Yes. And you guys are avoiding a lot of the random encounters as you're traveling too, so you're not doing things that would put you in a position to find random loot drops.
I keep trying to attack everything. I'm the barbarian. I'm like, I'm gonna attack, and all the party went, no, they haven't attacked us.
So
but I have a fancy axe. I want to hit things.
You're troublesome.
Always.
So, do you think that pretty well covers the subject?
I think so.
I think so too. Okay, so that pretty well covers everything about magical items.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me.
Yeah.
Again, people seem to enjoy when you're on here too.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Getting a little less awkward in front of the camera.
No, stay awkward.
Oh, I still am.
It's the channel.
I still don't know if I'm supposed to look at you, if I'm supposed to look at the camera.
I kind of alternate.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're talking, and then I'll glance over.
Now with the new camera, I can see myself over there, and I'm like, am I supposed to look at myself? That's weird.
Well, I used to look into the lens.
Yeah.
And it is weird for a little while. And then you get used to it. Thank you guys for joining us this week to talk about creating magical items and when it's appropriate to give them out to your party.
Yeah.
Until next time, guys, keep it rolling, adventurers.
I could have been like, yep.